really like vlogging it, like really loudly vlogging in a public space where like people could hear you and stuff. So kind of like, obviously like you don't have to do something like that, but it can be a really fun exercise. And also if you like go out and do something like that and you don't die, you're like, okay, great, like no one died, like it's fine. No one cares. I'm not going to see any of these people ever again. And then also it just might help with the like the speaking to camera and just not taking it too seriously, I guess. The other thing about like your voice on camera though is that your speaking to camera voice is always going to be different than your normal speaking voice, and that is fine. There's always going to be a slight difference, even if you're someone who is, you know, so authentic, and like if someone met you offline versus seeing your videos, they'd be like, oh, it's the same. Like there's always going to be a slight difference, and that is absolutely fine.
Cool. That was all helpful. Thank you.
Great.
Cool. Sarah.
Oh, someone in the chat also said, does live streaming help? I reckon so. Hi, Sarah.
Hiya. Sarah, yeah.
Oh,
Or
Sarah.
Bhavani. I go by both.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's cool.
My fault,
Thank
sorry.
you. Get it a lot. Okay, I probably have 1,001 questions for you over time, Hannah. I will try and limit it today. If I can squeeze two in. First one is, how do you do your thumbnails?
Oh, I don't. I haven't. My editor makes them, and she is a thumbnail whiz.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good feedback. Yeah, Liz was talking about them the other day, and I checked them out, and yeah, they do look really fun. Okay.
Yeah, in terms of like on my end, what I do is just lots of posing in front of the camera. Like I literally like will film a 10 to 20-second clip of all sorts of different poses and facial expressions, and I send her like my rough idea of what I kind of want in the thumbnail. I have a color palette for each of my YouTube channels as well, so we make sure that the thumbnails kind of that the thumbnails include those colors and the same fonts that we use all the time. And then one thing that we really try and do is make sure the balance of like what the title is going to be and what the thumbnail is going to be tell a story together. So not, one thing we're trying to do a lot is like not repeating any text that's in the title in the thumbnail, because then that's just wasted space. You could have added more information rather than just repeating. So those are kind of things that we think about.
Okay, thank you. And secondly, this might be a bit more complicated as an answer, but I noticed that you use Patreon, and you've got quite a nice following on there. And I'm looking for somewhere to run, it's not exactly a course, but like an ongoing group of women working on a particular issue, where we would meet twice a month. And I was wondering if you thought Patreon would be a good platform for that.
So would these women be paying for access to that space?
Yes.
Then yeah, I think it's potentially a great platform for that, just because everything is like set up for you. There are other ways of doing it, like, because it depends what else is going to be involved in this group that you create. Like if it's just going to be the group thing, then there's like, I use this live streaming platform called Crowdcast that's like linked to my Patreon. But Crowdcast like do their own thing as well, and they do like ticketed live events, and so it's all very like secure and private. So it's like people will pay, and so then they can access events, but that's like obviously done on a per event thing.
Yeah, no, this is more about women that have a particularly I'm niching right down into women that experience vaginal pain, so vaginismus, vulvodynia, particularly vaginismus. And one of the ways that I work with vaginismus is with vaginal steaming. So I wanted to have like a live steam session twice a month.
Oh, okay, yeah. You might, I think a big thing with that would be like client trust with the platform that you use.
So Zoom would probably be where we meet.
Okay,
but then Patreon would be where they subscribe, and then I know who's in the group, and then
you send the link through that. Yeah, I think
because 'Cause it
I
needs to
think
be
that
a
would
longer
work.
journey.
And
Maybe.
also what you also get with Patreon is just like the ability to do other kinds of posts as well. So if you want to post a video, or if you want to post just like like a text post or images, then you have all of that flexibility as well. Like I obviously love Patreon because like I've been using it for years. They also have like other integrations as well. Like it obviously depends on kind of like where the people that you're trying to access are already hanging out. But I use the Discord integration with Patreon. And so my community use Discord as kind of like a group chat forum place so that they can all like talk to each other and engage with each other. Because one thing that Patreon doesn't really do very well on platform is like a way for all of the people who are your patrons to talk to each other. But Discord allows that, and you can have like an integration with Discord.
Is that a private group on Discord as well?
Yeah, so people can only access it if they are a patron, and then they have to like link their Patreon and Discord account to get access. But Discord can be a bit of a learning curve, so it depends on like who your audience are. Like my audience are like young nerds, so they're like they already use Discord.
Yeah, my kids could probably teach me how to use it.
Yeah.
Hard to know what my target age is, because I know there'll be a lot of younger women that suffer with this, but I think it's possibly a slightly older bracket that is starting to seek help.
Yeah. A friend of mine, she has a Patreon and she has a private Facebook group. And so what she does is when people join her Patreon, I think she basically just like says to people like, hey, when you join, to get access to the group, make sure to just DM me what your name, here's the private link to the group, request to join, and make sure to DM me telling me what your Facebook name is so I can make cross-reference and make sure it's you. That's basically the only problem with that, is that if someone then stops being a patron, either you keep them in the group or you have to manually boot them, which just feels horrible. Whereas like with Discord, because it's integrated with Patreon, like I'm like hands off. If you stop becoming a patron, Discord and Patreon just kick you out for me. Like I don't touch that.
And do you know when somebody stops becoming a patron? Do you know?
You can see, you don't get like notified per person, like
right, so then you do actually have to check it manually.
Yeah, but they do, like Patreon do exit surveys, so you can like kind of see who's deleted pledges, and they'll select a reason as to why they left and stuff.
I'm wondering if there's a better platform for this where people pay for like a 6-month membership or a year.
And it could also be something that you manage manually as well, like because you could use just like an e-commerce thing where people buy like a ticket, and then you make sure that you're storing their contact info safely, and then because then you could have a Facebook group that's like, this is the Facebook group for this cohort.
Yeah.
For this group that's running from these days.
Yeah. Okay, good. I think it sounds like probably Patreon isn't the place. I'll do a bit more research. Thank you.
Yeah.
Helpful.
No worries.
Cool. Ahmed, you're next on the list.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Hi.
Sweet. Yeah. So my question was more about like idea research and how you come up with ideas, because I'm assuming a lot of the topics you're making, people aren't necessarily searching. I don't know too much about the niche in the sense that, are you targeting? Well, I didn't know there's that many topics. I just went on your feed and I was like, bloody hell, there's a lot of topics here. In the sense that, are you going off people's suggested videos, in the sense that do other people make similar videos and then you look at what's working, what isn't working, and try to make something similar, or just kind of like your process of coming up with ideas, especially in a small niche where I would assume that after a while, surely there wouldn't be that much to talk about. How do you sort of, keep that going? That's
sometimes sometimes it does feel like that. I think from the outside of any niche, you're like, how can you still be talking about that like 10 years later? But when you're inside the niche, you're like, there's so much to cover, and like the deeper you go, you're like, oh my god, there's more things. So I don't necessarily run out of no, I do often run out of like topic stuff because I'm like, oh, I've covered periods so many times, I'm bored of talking about periods. The thing that is more important to me is figuring out how to kind of package up a topic, because I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do like a new video about periods, how is it going to be different? So it's not just about like the ideas generation of like, oh, let's do something on this topic and let's do something on this topic. It's just like, but what are we going to do about that topic? Like, is it going to be an explainer video? Is it going to be an interview? Is it going to be like a vlog? Like, is it going to be like there's all the different formats of video. So a lot of my idea generation is kind of like a mishmash of like, oh, I'd love to do something on this topic. Okay, let's add that to the bucket. And whilst I try and figure out how I would even start to approach that. And then the other way is like starting with the format. So for instance, I sometimes like to take inspiration from like regular YouTube where people aren't talking about sex, people are talking about all sorts of other things. And I will take trends and formats that they're doing. And then I'll be like, oh, I'd love to do a video like that. Like, how can I twist that into my content? So like, I don't know if you've seen like tier lists are all over the internet, like people like doing like tier ranking. I don't even know, like people will tier rank.
As in TIER?
TIER. So like people do tier ranking. This is the thing, like, oh my God, there are so many corners of the internet. I'm like, tier ranking videos are everywhere. And you're like, what? There's so many corners of the internet. So it's basically like S tier, which is like top tier, and then like A tier is good, B is like okay, C, D. And so people basically will pick a category and then like put things in the tier, and it could be different flavors of Doritos, it could be different Jane Austen books, it could be different Marvel characters. And so you or like, you know, Ali should probably do a video where he tier ranks different productivity systems. Like he should,
I see what you mean.
So I've done a video where I tier ranked my sex toys. So like that's another way that I do things. I'm like, okay, what kind of formats, what kind of what are the popular formats on the platform right now, and how can I twist that into my niche? Sometimes there will be like ideas sat in my idea list for months, years, until I actually figure out how to make it work as a video. So yeah, and another thing that actually really helps me with idea generation is I love creating series, and I really like the container that having like a series creates for me. So I've like I previously did a series called Drunk Advice, which was like a very fun like collaborative series. So it would always have guests on. A series called like Pleasure Trove and the Hormone Diaries. And so that's, for me, it's really handy to have series, because then it's like, okay, what's going to be the next video in this series? And that helps with ideas. Did anyone see on YouTube maybe like two or 3 years ago, there was a big trend of people being like, I eat what the person in front of me eats. They'd go to a drive-through, or they'd go to a supermarket and they would like buy the food of what the person in front of them bought, and then be like, oh, look at all this food I got, right? And then I saw some fashion YouTubers be like, I buy the clothes that the person in front of me bought. So then basically it's just like other people deciding what you eat, other people deciding what you wear. And so I did obviously the same with sex toys again. So that's kind of another example of that. Just like, I'm going to take this popular trend and make it about my stuff. Do I announce, I'm just answering one thingy questions. Do I announce when I'm going to make a series, or do I just group it in a playlist? I definitely group it in a playlist. And when it's the first episode, I'm like, we're doing a new series, welcome, this is what this whole thing is going to be about, blah, 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 get excited, like subscribe so you don't miss the next episode kind of thing. And then when I do future episodes, the branding of it is so clearly part of the series, and I always link to the playlist again in the bottom, and I'll just say like, welcome to another episode of insert name of series here. Yeah.
Okay, Andre.
Yeah, so I'm just, the answer is probably going to be depends, but I was just trying to figure out how to quantifiably measure the success of my niche or my topics earlier on. So for example, to give you more perspective, like I'm thinking of talking about how I became a self-taught developer, right? And I want to make it light and kind of self-deprecating about myself and industry, because, you know, like Silicon Valley stuff and tech bro kind of stuff, like you can make fun of myself and the industry all day. But so basically what I did is I found a few channels between 20 and 100,000 subscribers that have done really well from the beginning, like from like 2,000 to 100,000 to like, some of them have like 300,000 to 500,000 videos, and like it's not like a very well produced content like some of these other professional video editors, right? So like it's like it appears like it's very approachable. So I'm very excited to try that. But then let's say I commit to like 20 or 40 videos, let's say like twice a week, I'll do it. And then how would I measure success? Because maybe there's like for like every 100 YouTubers that try this, only 1 or 5 of them like get lucky with that kind of content. So I'm just trying to figure out how to measure that success if I'm trying to treat it like a real business.
Yeah. So you decide that. You decide what your metrics for success are. Like I can't tell you like you should measure these things. But examples of things that you can measure are obvious, like the easy ones are views and subscribers, right? That's an easy one to measure, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend those being the ones that you focus on. But it can be just like good to be aware of in terms of like celebrating getting milestones. Like it's so tricky because, well, if you're a techie person, you might be more interested in the like quantitative measuring things, whereas I'm like, no, it's all in the comments. It's all like, it's like what people are saying. It's that qualitative data of like how people are actually responding to what you're making. But another way of measuring the success could also be just like in your own skill of making videos. Like, are you improving? Like, are you getting better at talking in front of a camera? Are you getting better at editing? Are you getting better at filming? Can you see in like that first video, can you see an improvement in how you produced and made that video from your first video to your 20th video to your 40th video to your 100th video? So that can actually be like, that's something that you have more control over and can measure success based on. But it really depends on like what you care about, because like, again, like you said, like about it being a business, so maybe revenue is going to be a success metric for you. Maybe customers and like people on your mailing list will be a success metric for you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so the way I think about it is that, you know, at worst case scenario, when I do 100 videos, I'm going to become a much better storyteller, conveyor of ideas. I'll learn how to edit videos much better. So even if I don't succeed, there'll still be a win. And the way I think about this particular niche is I'm thinking like I'll commit to maybe like 20 to 40 to 50 videos to this specific niche. If I'm not getting much, as long as I'm getting better every video, like I'll be somewhat content. And then if I'm not getting those kinds of views that I see some other channels are getting, then maybe it's a bit saturated. And then I try another niche or two after like video 40 or video 50. That's not about being self-taught developer, for example.
Yeah. I mean, like you have your own game plan, and you can obviously, like, if that it's going to work for you. Like you do your game plan. I think like when you're like starting out, I don't know what kind of size channel you have, but if this is kind of like at the beginning of the journey for you, experimentation is key, because you don't know what's going to stick. And so it can be really important just to kind of like throw shit at the wall. Not shit though, but like some shit, some good stuff, who knows.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cool. Taz.
Hi Anna, how are you?
Hello. Good. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. I had a couple questions for you, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
First one is, so I'm looking at your videos, and you have, I think, where is it? You have one which is wedding planning in a pandemic.
Yeah.
So I wanted just to ask, like, how do you set the boundaries for your niche?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question, because I definitely like occasionally, like I also have like a whole series at the moment with the Hormone Diaries where I'm documenting my like fertility journey, because me and my partner are trying to conceive. But the way that I draw the line with that series kind of specifically is it's not in real time. Like the videos that I'm posting of the journey like happened months before. So a lot of kind of like boundary setting for me personally in terms of deciding what I want to share or not is either like it has to not be something that I'm like currently in, like I'm not currently emotionally experiencing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then also I tend to just be able to feel it. I very much just trust my gut on a lot of these things. Obviously, like with the nature of the subject of my channel, there is a lot of personal sharing. There is a lot of like stories and anecdotes, but I'll switch up details in them so that it sounds like it's happening at a different time than it actually did, or like because I'm like, my audience like know that I'm married and they know that like who my partner is. But if I want to tell a story that I think is going to be like a really good example of something, but I don't want to like share his personal info, I'll just like repackage the anecdote so it seems like it's about an ex. Like, like there's lots of different ways that I do it, and it's very much about following that gut instinct.
Right. Okay.
Of like, oh, this feels weird, I actually don't want to share this, and actually verbally setting boundaries. So when I first started the new Hormone Diaries series, where I announced my audience, oh, like I'm trying to get pregnant, I said in it, I was like, do not comment on any of my videos or on any of my like Instagram posts. Are you pregnant? Oh, you look pregnant. Like, do not do that. Like, I will tell you when I am ready. Please do not speculate. And everyone has been super respectful of that. I don't know whether that's because like my audience have been with me for a long enough time that I've like kind of like trained them to like respect those kinds of boundaries. But yeah.
How would you deal if they didn't? Would it be a case of just do you have set the settings to prohibit certain comments, or is it a case of deleting?
I think if someone did, like, I kind of assume that I wouldn't necessarily have to even step in there. I think there would be people in my audience who'd be like, hey, Hannah actually said not to speculate about this, like, don't be so rude. Or I would just reassert that boundary. I'd be like, hi, you may have missed it, but I please do not speculate about this, like, you know.
Can I just ask one last thing about when you're doing the series? So I'm quite new to YouTube, but I really want to do series because I think, like you said, you can approach one topic and slice it up so many different ways. Sorry about the hoovering going on in the background. So with the series, once you pick the topic and you said you release it and then you group it in the playlist, is the key really the way you brand, like you said previously, that series, so that people know when you release a video just visually that it belongs to this series that she's doing, and then just the build up on that is, are they connected? or are they separate? Because if someone's coming to the channel who doesn't know, let's say you're doing Hormone Diaries and they're into episode 6,
Yeah.
how are you managing that for the audience? Or is it a case of you just you know who your audience are and you know that they're following along with the series?
Yeah, so most of them are standalone. So I make sure that it's a self-contained topic. Each individual video has got a narrative,
Right.
especially with the Hormone Diaries one, because it is like following me on a journey. So like you can watch it from beginning to end and it will make a ton of sense, but then also each individual one follows like one specific part of it that I also make sure has like a narrative
Right.
to it.
Yeah.
And then let me get links because I can pop these in the chat. You'll be able to see. So like this link is my Pleasure Trove series, and you can see from all of those thumbnails, it's like, that's the same series. So people who like that series know to tune into it, and people who don't care for it can be like, nah, I'm good. And then this is the Hormone Diaries series as well. So you can kind of see the consistent branding. I love me some consistent branding.
Before, when you said you had multiple channels, did you mean multiple playlists, or you have multiple channels?
No, I do have multiple channels. That's a new thing, because I basically at the end of 2019 I decided to break off, basically keep my main channel as just sex and relationships, and then break off the more kind of like lifestyle, work, organization, stuff onto another channel, which I just linked in the chat as well, which is called More Hannah, because it's super original. But yeah.
Well, thanks for that. Really big help. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Move on. Ronald. Oh, you're on mute.
Okay, that will get me far, being on mute. Hi, Anna, how are you?
Hi, good, yeah.
Good. I just have 2 quick questions. One is that, do you know if there's a difference between classifying your videos as educational entertainment as it relates to either the algorithm or pushing through by YouTube or monetization? I have a personal finance channel. I put it as entertainment because all of the other YouTubers are putting it as entertainment and not education. So
is this in the like YouTube's categories thing?
Yeah, when you post a video,
okay.
it's a category. Yeah.
I have not changed my categories for my videos since I started 10 years ago. Mine are all under people and blogs. The last time I spoke to anyone at YouTube about this is that the category that it is in is so far down the list
okay, cool.
of what the algorithm looks at that the category that you put it in honestly like does not matter. Like there's so much other information that YouTube is getting about your video to be able to categorize it itself, basically.
Great. And if you're new to YouTube, would you use Google Ads to promote a video to get more reach?
I've never done that personally. I don't know if I would recommend it. I don't give it a go. Like I don't think it's that expensive, but I think you'd have to get real specific, and you'd have to like, do you get to choose which part of the video gets promoted in that first 30 seconds, or is it the first 30 seconds of your video?
No, you don't get to
You don't get to choose. So yeah, I would only do it if like as an experiment, just to like see what happens, right?
Yeah.
And make sure that first 30 seconds of your video is like the super catchiest, like hooks people in as much as possible, because it's going to be like complete randos who see it.
Yeah, my concern is that, you can do that and then people will stay on for 15 seconds and screw up your analytics.
That's the other thing. Like, I actually don't know if
Yeah.
people watching the ad but then like skipping the ad or not then clicking through to watch the rest of the video, if that counts as a view and if it counts towards your watch time, that I actually don't know, but I imagine there might be some info on YouTube.
Now, I think it only counts as a view if someone stays on your video for at least 30 seconds.
Even if it's running as an ad.
I think so. I'm not
Okay,
sure
yeah.
about that, but I just know for general, they have to stay on for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you won't get it.
Yeah, in general, it's the 30 seconds. So yeah, I don't know how it works for if you're doing ads. Maybe experiment with it and let us know.
Okay, well, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Ronald. Zach, you're up.
Yeah, I actually I have a couple of questions. I'm gonna go ahead and just publish them in the chat.
Oh, okay.
My first question is, how many videos does Ollie like currently have just waiting to be published?
That would be a question for Angus.
4 or 5.
4 or 5? Okay.
Yeah, about 2 or 3 weeks in advance. Yeah.
Yeah, because like me myself, like I suffer from bipolar, so I go through periods where, you know, I can make a lot of content, and I gotta go through periods where I make no content. And so like I made 8 shorts last week. So I'm, you know, right now I have it all the way to like the first week of August. My second question is, should I cuss in my videos? Because I do not do a channel that's for kids in any way. And I do try and be a little bit edgier. Obviously, like you can either like actually cuss in the video or you can bleep it out. There is an aesthetic choice of like, you know, bleeping for like 30 straight seconds just as like a joke that it's just like a string of expletives. And then like, or using like in the titles or in the thumbnails, whether to cuss, whether to censor it, like, you know, just the first letter and a couple dashes, or whether to use acronyms like what the like WTF or AF. So that's my second question.
So on the swearing, I think that your first priority needs to be doing whatever fits with your brand and your personality. That to me is, so I would never put something in my title or my thumbnail that I wouldn't verbally say. Because it has to make sense coming from me. I have put swear words in my titles before, but obviously my channel is a bit more like, it's not for kids basically. One thing to be aware of in terms of monetization, so YouTube have like a self-declaration thing now with their monetization, so you do a rating yourself, and on swearing there's like a whole section on it or something. If you have like really strong swear words in, I think it's like the first minute or something, then it would be considered not suitable for all advertisers, so it would get the yellow $sign. But if you have, it includes damn, and I'm like, that's Americans, because damn is not a swear word in the UK. So like damn is not a bad one, but then like fuck is a bad one. So if you so like first priority is like your brand, it has to make sense for you and what you would say. Second priority I would say is like monetization. So if you are going to say fuck in your videos, just don't put it in the first minute. So yeah, that's because I do swear in some of my videos, but I definitely used to swear loads more, and then I kind of reined it in a bit because I don't know, I think my brand got a bit more professional.
And I'm a very performative dude just in general. Like, I'm all about like really getting my opinion across. Real quick, just for the last one, because I know I did watch last week's Q&A, and I know that Liz talked a little bit about her experiences as a female YouTuber and like the unique experiences of harassment that just men do not face. And so I guess my question is what do you or any of like the female content producers that are currently on, like what is it that we as men can do to like actually try and address this? Because I think that like regardless of whether we're the ones doing it, we do kind of have a responsibility to try and, you know, protect or be in solidarity with female YouTubers, or, you know, non-binary YouTubers or trans YouTubers, stuff like that. So that's my question. Like, what can we do as content producers to be supportive?
Great question. For women or for any marginalized groups that are making videos and worried about harassment, use the like features where you can blacklist words. YouTube also like automatically flags potentially inappropriate comments, and whilst it sometimes gets it wrong, I would just say it's not even worth looking in that folder. Like, it's not even worth going in there to see if you could find some actually nice comments that accidentally slipped in. I just ignore it. I'm just like, you know what, there's going to be some good stuff and bad stuff in there, but I don't need to expose myself to it. For other people, for the white men out there,
we prefer the term men of a colonial complexion.
Oh, okay. So the men of a colonial complexion. I love that. Oh my goodness. Colonizers. Yeah. So I would say collaborate with women, with people of color, with LGBTQ plus people who are in your niche and in your area. Like, don't just be like uplifting all of the same faces, like, because it can get so boring and bland. It's just like a sky of freaking vanilla milkshakes. Just like, I mean, you know, vanilla milkshake is fine like once in a while, but like, like find, because and also the excuse of, oh, but there's just like, I can't find any women or I can't find any Black people in my niche. Like, they're there, you just haven't looked hard enough. So definitely like uplift other voices in your niche that maybe like don't have the benefits of like the structural benefits of society in order to like get their content seen by more people. If you do collaborate with people, or even if you don't collaborate but you shout someone out in a video, another really important thing is to make sure to train your audience. Because like if you're a white dude, or if you're a dude making tech, productivity, like medicine, like whatever content is here, because obviously you're all here from like Ali's content, so it's like you probably have a really big male audience, so you are in a position of power and influence to be able to impact them if they do ever encounter a woman on the internet, right? So if you go, oh, you should check out so and so's channel, but also like follow that up with like, be fucking nice. And you know, it's not just, yeah, training your audience, which are probably going to reflect your identity as well in terms of how to navigate this space on the internet. Does that, I'll get off my soapbox now.
I mean, I feel like that's a good start, and you know, if we have time, I'd be happy to hear just from like other female content on here. If anyone, you know, no one has to speak, but if anyone feels comfortable speaking,
yeah, feel free to share in the chat as well, because also I'm just one white cis straight woman, so yeah, feel free to share.
Thanks, Zach. That was a good question. Great question. Very appreciated in the chat as well. So we've got about 10 minutes left. So then no one is going to come on. We'll go to the next question. So King.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, Hannah. Hey, everyone. Thank you for giving us a lot of value with your thoughts on niches and everything. And I'm one of those guys that you mentioned with a mostly male audience. My analytics says 99%, maybe 99.5.
Wow.
So I got about 4K subs, and I had more questions about niches. And so the most successful videos that I've done so far are kind of breakdown videos of sort of big vloggers like Casey Neistat, and one about Jack Conte like a few years back. So I think my niche is about how to vlog and storytelling in general. So that's kind of the content that I've been creating. So my question is in two parts. One is, what are your thoughts on the how to vlog niche as a niche? Because I think of it, when I think of it, it's like this. Vlogging isn't really hot these days as a topic. Two, vlogging seems to be a very loose term and understood differently by different people. And three, it doesn't seem like something that, you know, that really solves a business problem or people, you know, would have a very unreasonable amount of passion for. So considering those things, how do you think of the niche of how to vlog?
By vlogging, let's define vlogging so we're on the same terms here. Do you mean kind of like the more like follow me around daily vlog out and about, or do you mean like a sit down piece to camera, or both? The
sort of follow you around. I mean the prime example is a Casey Neistat video.
Okay. Yeah. Got ya. Okay. Oh, interesting, because I'd be fascinated to see content about like the evolution of the vlog, and also like maybe how the vlog has kind of like died a bit, and the impact of COVID and travel restrictions on vlogging. Like, so those are just some ideas that I'm like, oh, I'd be interested to see videos about that. But in terms of like, so are you trying to figure out whether this niche is a viable like business, like it has business longevity? I think honestly anything can, right? Because there's always going to be like, even if like vlogging has maybe like died a little death, there are gonna still be people who want to do it and want to figure out how it can be done. And one of the things that I really love as well is like, especially when it comes to businesses, is that behind the scenes stuff. So one of the great things about like Jack Conte's videos and vlogs is that you're also getting like a behind the scenes of like his bands, but you're also getting behind the scenes of Patreon as a company. And so I do think that there's something there in terms of like businesses, but yeah.
So you're kind of saying that the business angle does have something there. It's not completely.
I think it does have something there, but you're the vlog expert. So it's like, who, in terms of like the business side of things, are you thinking like, oh, you would eventually like have clients who are business owners who want to incorporate vlogging into their business? Or,
I'm not really sure actually.
Okay, so this is a thing that you maybe need to figure out, is like, who is it? Is it content creators? Is my audience and my potential like consumers, customers, clients, or whatever, are they creators who want to like, and filmmakers who want to make like beautiful cinematic Casey Neistat vlogs? Or are they business owners and entrepreneurs like what's his face, Gary Vee?
Right.
And they want to do something that's like a vlog where it's like a behind the scenes of running a business and a look into that kind of lifestyle.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. So I guess sort of the follow-up question to that is, in the future, I guess, I think I am kind of looking into catering more to creators, or more like people who kind of aspire to be creators. So the thought was kind of like opening the niche up in the future to be more of like a productivity channel, but from the guy who, you know, loves to vlog. That would be the kind of angle. What do you think of that sort of trajectory?
I mean, I think that like the vlogging kind of content and community, there's a lot of overlap with the like productivity and like organization side of things as well, because people bloody love a like productive like daily routine and like planning out your weeks, and like
Right.
people love that kind of shit. I'm sure that like a lot of the people on this call are here because we love that kind of shit. But yeah, I'm trying to think, like, because so one of the things that I have a question for you in terms of like you trying to figure out what you want to do with this channel is if your biggest, most popular videos are about other creators, right? That's a really great way to obviously like get new eyeballs on your content, because people who are fans of those people or people who recognize those names are obviously going, oh, let's see what this person has to say, but they're not necessarily getting to know you. So if you want like more longevity with your channel, you need to obviously like, that's clearly a strategy that is working, like making videos about how other people vlog, but then you need to find a way to incorporate your own persona, your face, your personality into it, I think. So that those people then don't just watch that one video and then bounce, they like stick around for whatever you're going to do next, which might be this productivity stuff.
Right. Yeah, I'm definitely trying to do that, but the views discrepancy is quite a lot. So it's always kind of like
And I think like don't be discouraged by that, because obviously that's going to be the case, because there are, you know, there are so many more people out there who know who Casey Neistat is, and so that video is more likely to appear in people's recommended, and people are going to be more interested to click on it. And I think that's just something that we just all have to be like, yeah, of course that's going to happen. Like that's the game you're playing, so you can't be surprised by when people care more about a Casey. Now if it does get to a point where you're like, this sucks, this actually feels meh, then maybe that's a time to reevaluate, like, do you want to be making videos about other people just to get like that quick hit of subscribers or views and dopamine? Or do you want the kind of like steady, slow growth, you know?
Cool. Thank you so much. Lots to think about.
Yeah, thanks.
Well,
So I just threw so much back at you.
Literally have 1 minute left, so I'm going to get Mike on, because Mike's had his hand up for ages. So sorry, Mike, you have only got a minute, but go ahead.
I am doing another one of these on the 14th of July, just FYI. Everyone.
No worries. It was a super quick question. I mean, first of all, Hannah, thanks very much. Really enjoyed listening to you today. Learned lots and lots. Thank you. I was just interested in how you worked with your team. And like what the workflow is like, how you communicate, you know, like, do you just upload the raw files? Does the video editor do everything? The tools that you use? Could you just give us a whistle-stop sort of overview of how you've got it set up?
So with my editor, I upload everything to Google Drive. We have a shared Notion with a whole like database of like what all the videos are doing. And I write like my rough like notes for every video in there, and then she sends me a first edit. I send her feedback, and then she sends me the final one, which I review, and then it gets uploaded. And I have an assistant as well who does all of like the metadata and description and stuff on videos, and she helps me across lots of different parts of my business. So me and her actually use Discord like instead of like Slack, because we're already on Discord, so that's where we like talk about everything. That's your whistle stop tour.
Okay. No, cool. That's good to know. So that's it.
You
just have an editor and an assistant, and that's it.
Yes, and a manager to help with like brand deals and negotiating all of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks,
Mike. Sorry about the cutting it a bit short.
No, that's all right. Can I plug a little thing in the chat? Ahead. So there's this new platform that I've been using recently called Wrinkle, and basically it's like, I call it micro consulting. So if you do want to ask any like follow-up questions, it's a small fee, and you can send like your question, and then I will send like a personalized video back answering your question. I will say though, after Friday, I'm technically going to be on holiday mode on Wrinkle. So if you want to ask anything, like ask it in the next 24 hours and I'll be able to get back to you. If not, it will be like I'll turn it back on in like 2 weeks time, just FYI.
Cool.
But I'm going to be doing another one of these that's on the 14th of July, right, Angus?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that whatever that Wednesday is.
Yeah, last Wednesday of the course, I think. So yeah, cool. Thanks very much, Hannah, for joining us. And yeah, hopefully see some of you across in 2 minutes for Matthew Dix. Otherwise, see you tomorrow. Cheers,
Great.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Cheers, guys.